I buy one currency pair and trade it against another to double my profits without me putting all of my money into one currency pair. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shaquan and I am a trading educator here at SLFX Trading. And today we're going to be talking about how I make money trading Forex. So today I'm going to be showing you guys two currency pairs that I've traded last week. And I'm still in those pairs. One has hit take profit and it's actually still running in profit. So I'll show you what I mean once we get to that chart. And then another currency pair is one that I shared on Instagram. And be sure that you guys are following me on Instagram because I share a lot of content over there and I go live at least once a week over there as well, typically on Tuesdays, sometimes Mondays as well too. So I'm not going to hold you guys long. I don't like fluff material, so let's just get into it. Let's talk about what type of trader am I. I am what you would call a swing trader. Basically, being a swing trader for me means that I get to hold my positions longer. I get to hold my trades for over a few days. I'm looking at higher time frames and I don't have to show up every day to place a trade. My trading days are typically 15 minutes and less. It doesn't really require much analysis because I'm looking at higher time frames, which means I'm looking at bigger candles. So let's talk about why I am a swing trader. I am a swing trader because for one, I'm a wife and a mother of 2 kids. It's the summertime and for the most part, my children have stayed at home with me. So you could say for the most part, at one point in time in my life, I was a stay-at-home mom. Now I am a work-at-home mom. I'm a working mom. I work from home. I have a full-time coaching business. I am a full-time content creator, and that requires a lot of time. So for me, swing trading means that while my trades are running and I am making money, I get to work while making money at the same time. So guess what? Most of my time is spent working on my other businesses, being a mom, being a wife, and less time trading. Another reason why I am a swing trader as well is because I don't like the noise on lower time frames. When I was a day trader, when I was a scalper, it just got too much. And I became overwhelmed with all of the noise, all of the little candlesticks, all of the mini fluctuations. And so, just as time grew on, I stopped looking at lower time frames. Higher time frames made me feel more comfortable. It makes me feel less anxious. It gives me less anxiety. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm a swing trader to this day. So let's talk about how I make my money swing trading. So basically, like I've already pointed out to you guys, I am a swing trader who makes her money trend trading. And trend trading basically means I trade with the direction of the market. So let's just say, for example, I estimate that price could move up 150 pips. So that means that I am the buyer. In no way, shape, or form am I looking to trade against those 150 pips. I'm not looking to sell. If the trend is going up, I'm going up with it. And once it hits 150 pips, where I set my take profit, the market's gonna exit me out of the position, and then I make my money. But I can also lose money as well as swing trading. So let's just say, even though I estimate price could go up 150 pips, let's just say I set the bar to say, hey, listen, if price goes against me 50 pips, take me out of the trade, right? So I place a stop loss for 50 pips, and if it goes against me those 50 pips, I'm out of the trade, right? It's always a give and take. There's like a risk factor and then there's a profit factor, right? And obviously we want to be more profitable than we want to be less profitable, right? But it all boils down to the analysis, the technique, your strategy, for what most people call it. But I think it deals with us first, or I would say in this case, me first, understanding who I am, what I am, and why I am. And that's going to be important for you too as well. But it took me a while to get to this point to understand that I like swing trading. It took me time, at least a few years, to build out my technique, my steps, the way I question my analysis and question myself to take potential setups. And I keep taking the same setup over and over and over again. I don't add to my setup. I don't take away from my setup. I trade the same rules. A lot of times, we want to be consistently profitable. And I had to even ask myself, what does consistently profitable means? Because that's how we make our money, right? Or that's how I make my money. And it boiled down to this thing right here. The first word was consistent. Consistent means doing something repetitively or repeatedly. And to become consistently profitable, I had to learn to take the same setup over and over and over and over again, and not get caught up in a lot of strategies or all the strategies and all the patterns. I had to take that out of my vocabulary and my mind to just focus on one thing. That is a part of business, and being a business owner, you will learn, or I've learned, that in business, if you focus on more than one thing at a time, you will fail more than multiple times in many different areas. So I stopped focusing on everything that everyone was teaching, everything that everyone was giving, every YouTuber, everything, and focused on one thing. And I created my strategy, or my technique, I like to call it, because a technique encompasses more than just a checklist and rules. It encompasses yourself. You are the technique. I'm the technique. And what I did was, when I created it, I focused on one thing: trend trading, higher time frames, and I let it be, right? As a swing trader, as I already told you guys, I'm looking at higher time frames, primarily the daily. And what I've learned about the daily is it takes 24 hours for each candle to close, which basically means, for me, it also means that I need to show up to my chart once a day at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which also lets me know that I get to focus on my coaching business and my children throughout the day. So understanding that I only need to show up at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my time zone, it allows me to breathe and think through everything, and not babysit my positions, not babysit the market, and not always check in on what's going on in the market. Once again, like I told you guys, it helps with my anxiety as a trader. One of the things that I'm asked about a lot is, how do you control your emotions? Well, you have to understand what's affecting your emotions. And if something is affecting your emotions negatively, you need to find something that turns it into a positive. And so being up in higher time frames helped change that part for me, and it helped my analysis in a big way. So let's get to the charts. So this is AUDUSD on the daily time frame, and one of the first things that I'm going to notice when it comes to the chart is, well, what is the trend? And if you guys are noticing the numbers at my high peaks and my low peaks, you can see that the numbers are going down. I'll even add one more to show you the pattern of the numbers. I don't like to look at the market as patterns, such as wedge formations and double tops and double bottoms and falling bearish flags or bullish flags. I more so like to look at the candles that tell us a story. The green and red candles say buyers, sellers, but they also say direction. So I prefer to look at direction than to clutter my mind with so many patterns in the market that may be there or may not even be there. So the less trading decisions that I can make, the better I can make the more money I can actually make. And so that's how I like to look at this. So one of the things that I look at are like 3 key elements for when I'm trading, and it is called TMP. And TMP just basically stands for trend, market structure, and price action. And I talk about it in almost every video that I make, because that is my trading technique. And I teach this like every single week. It's like a checklist, right? Just is price trending, yes or no? And what is the trend? It's price at market structure, which market structure just basically means a structure that you trade in, which you want to execute. And then price action, what is the candle that's giving you permission to enter the trade so you can enter it manually? And once you can answer those 3 questions, then it's just execution time. So that's the way I like to look at it. So let's talk about it. So the numbers at my lower highs, because price is dropping, 0.76170, 0.75989, and then now we have a new lower high here at 0.75036. But let's talk about what happened before this trade was executed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So price was here. And every single week on Sundays, I join my coaching group, and we basically talk about trades, right? We do trade setups, and in my coaching group, this is where I get to critique my students. This is where we basically look at money plays for the week together. They share what they see, I share what I see, and we have a dialogue over it, right? This is not where I'm just calling out trades. It's like, no, hey, I'm only one person. I don't trade every single pair that you may trade, but if you see something that's a great setup, share it. If you need help with your analysis based on a technique that I'm teaching you, ask the question so that you can make money, right? So it's really beautiful. But and it's really chill in there, you know. So yeah, we just get together on Sundays and we just knock it out the park, because I'm teaching people who are like me, who are busy throughout the day with children and work as well. So it's really great to be in a room filled with people who can understand what you're going through, and helps. I love having people slow down in life so that they can focus on trading. So let's talk about it from here. Trend is down. That's number one. Two, one of the reasons why I took this trade was because I wanted price to stay below 0.75989. That is the last place where sellers came into the market. And if the numbers are decreasing, we don't want price to touch that last lower high number. We don't want price to come all the way back up here, because if it does and it passes that number, we're in a reversal. Let's talk about this point with how I make my money as well. I don't trade based on structure, meaning I don't want to just place a trade just because price touches this number, which is what I want to do. But I don't want the mindset of, if it passes this zone, I need to become the buyer. I use my zone, and I call it an estimation zone, because this is where I'm estimating price needs to touch in order for me to want to enter a trade. Because I'm saying that in this area, this will be the best price that I can enter the trade. If price passes that zone, it's not a means to sell. Okay, so that's number one. That all has to do with your trend. That's the first step of your analysis, is understanding if price does a certain thing, you respond to it. So if it does go past the zone, let's just say that it did. If it did went past the zone, I'm understanding that first, sellers have control. If price is not past 0.75989, price just has a little bit more to go. It's going to be trapped within the range between 0.75989 and 0.74800. It's just trapped within that range until the sellers decide what they want to do. So what I did at this point was I set a pending order, and I said, hey, you know what? If price can come back and reach a certain number, and I already had it triggered, or I already had it set up, I'm going to execute the trade, or my pending order is going to execute the trade. And that's what I had set up. Now, I also use Fibonacci, because I like to know, like, okay, well, for me, when I make my money, and let me just speak this now, I'm prioritizing my position. I'm going to do a video on prioritization as well, how to prioritize your strategy or your technique. Basically, this is the original technique. This is my foundation. Nothing about this changes. I already know I want to enter the trade from here. When I add anything extra, let's just say Fibonacci. When I add Fibonacci, because this is a part of my technique that I teach to get into extra positions, the Fibonacci doesn't change anything that I trade. But it helps, because if I want to add another position, I can based on Fibonacci, but my original strategy stays. It's not touched. And that's what I mean by you don't take away and you don't add to your original technique, okay? So I understood where I wanted to enter the trade. My pending order was set. So after this, I'm saying, okay, well, let's look at the risk to reward. Can I take two positions? Can I afford two positions? Because based on your trading capital and how you're trading versus also how many trades you're in, you have to look at your leverage and ask yourself, if I enter into more trades, am I jeopardizing my leverage or my trading space, right? Because that's a part of how we make our money. It's not about the more trades you enter, the better you'll be. Your leverage is there just in case there's pullbacks, in case your margin is being used up, meaning you don't have as much space available to place a trade. So your margin is there to say, hey, or your leverage and margin is there to say, hey, tap, tap, tap. You're going to need more space, which means you need to add more money, or you need to close some positions before the broker closes it for you. So, everything encompasses, this encompasses everything together with how I make my money, how I trade. But I saw that, okay, yeah, I can afford two positions. So my first take profit goes back down to my low at 0.74092. And now I had another position running, going back down to my -27. And my stop loss went to 0.75263, okay? So I have all of these set up and, two positions on. So now as price runs, I am in what's called in-market analysis or in-trade analysis. And this is all a part of me teaching risk management, right? Once I set my stop loss, I set my take profit. Every trade that I enter at 3% per trade, right? So I'm risking 3% of my capital to make more than 3%. So now this candle triggers me into the trade. Once it passes my zone, I'm triggered in. And voila, this is where the market is now. Now, yes, price did go against me a little bit on this candle, but like I said, it's not just about your zone. I had already placed into my mind that I did not want price to pass 0.75989. Remember what I said earlier, if I estimate that price can go a particular way, then I can make money, right? So in this example, I estimated price can go back down to 0.74092. It's hit that target, now I've made money. But if it were to go against me a certain amount of pips, which I deem that, hey, you know what? If you go against me, take me out the trade. I don't want to lose any more than 3% of my account at this particular exchange rate at 0.75, let's say I said 263 or something like that. Then yeah, take me out of the position. I'll reevaluate. Okay, I'm still a seller at this point in time because price never passed 0.75989. But if you do go back up a little bit higher, just take me out so I can reevaluate really quick, right? And so that didn't happen. So now if you guys look at what's going on in the market, let's talk about how I'm going to make more money, okay? So I still have another position running in my favor. And I still have, and it just basically means that one trade took profit, dumped that money into my account, and now the next trade is still running, which means I'm still making money now, right? So after, the full week, price has made a new low, which basically means price is now below 0.74092, which also means that we have a new lower high here at 0.75033. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to stay in my position. I'm going to stay in my sell. If price just continues down going into this week, that's great. I'm praying it does so I can get more money out of the market. And if it does pull back against me, this is where we're just going to readjust and we're going to update the chart. I'm not looking to the left. I don't trade support and resistance. I am trading with what the market is doing, which is for me right now is telling me that, hey, if price stays below 0.75033 and if price can come back into my estimation zone, which is based on my lower high candle, then I am going to take a trade going back to the downside. So we'll see how it goes for the next week. And just like that, I'm already ready to trade going into the week on this currency pair. And the analysis literally just took me less than 30 seconds to do. So with the way that I make my money and how I personally teach this technique is you update as you go. You don't stay looking to the left. You stay trading to the right and you update to the right with the current buyers and sellers. So it really takes less than 3 to 5 minutes to reanalyze or update a price chart. But when you get really advanced with the technique and you get used to it, it can take you less than 30 seconds to a minute to do. And this is why I love teaching this technique. So let's talk about how long it takes to learn this technique. So this technique took me about a year or two to create, to get down, to test, to know if it was profitable, to get really good results, right? But with my clients, I don't want it to take them that long to learn this technique. So it typically takes me about 3 weeks, or I would say 3 hours to teach them, because I teach an hour a week within 6 weeks. So out of those 6 weeks or 6 hours, it takes me 3 hours to teach them this. And by week 3 or hour 3, they learn trend. They learn the 4 important candles that I teach every single week in the market. They learn how to place the estimation zone, where to set their take profit, where to set their stop loss. And then we go into back testing this and using risk management terms. So then they learn how to manage their own portfolio. Only takes 3 hours to teach, believe it or not. And they get really good results. So by week 4, setting up their watch list to trade certain currency pairs that fits this criteria. By week 4, they're placing trades on their own. Week 5, placing trades on their own, and I am there to monitor it, and then we just go from there. And then I give them their trading plan, and we golden, right? I'm not a firm believer anymore that it should take a year or 2 to learn how to trade when someone has already given the information. And I personally walk through this, so there's no course needed, no videos necessary to watch besides setting up the trading view chart. So I like this to go by fast for people who I teach, for my personal clients. Like, no, let's stop the courses, let's stop the video. As I make money, I want you to make money, right? I want you to get that confidence. And this is what I love to walk them through. So if this is you and you're ready to stop watching all of these videos and stop buying course after course and trying to get with someone who's not going to talk back to you, then click the link down below in my description and set up a 30-minute discovery call with me, and let's see if we're a good fit to work together so I can teach you this same process as a swing trader. Okay, as you guys seen on AUDUSD was moving down, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Now this went through us for a loop recently. We had a conversation about this in the Swing Trading Society about the wick of this candle. I'm going to erase everything. I'm going to walk you guys through how the process of me making money is, how it looks, okay? So, just the few weeks prior, price was going up in an uptrend, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. But see, right here, price actually went down below the last high, the last higher low. Now this signals that sellers came into the market and they did push price down. Now this is an early reversal point, and this just basically means that if the sellers just push price down past the last higher low, we should now become sellers in the market. And this is when I sit on my hands and I wait for that thing to happen. I wait until price shows and gives me that permission. Once again, when I teach TMP, I also teach not only how to trend trade, but how to spot reversals as well, and what the early signs look like. And this is an early sign. So this is when I sat on my hands and I said, okay, let me see if the sellers come into the market. And they did not. Instead, price made a new higher high. Now, another way that you can make money in this market is by sitting on your hands. And that basically means play poker with price. I don't play real life poker, but I like the understanding of a poker face. Meaning sometimes you get really good people at that table, and what they'll do is they'll let people win a hand or two. They're trying to figure out who plays what and how they play and what type of player are they, so they know how to beat their opponent. I like to do the same thing in trading. I like to let price show me her hand and then I figure out what to do next. And she showed me her hand when price went all the way up around 1.5978. I said, okay, that's a new higher high. This is a false breakout. So that's why I say we trade to the right. We don't stay to the left. Because if I have to go all the way left to figure out what price is doing, I'm going to miss crucial points that the market is doing right now. I'm going to miss what the current buyers and sellers are telling me to do and what they're showing me. And so this is when I said, okay, new game plan. Instead of looking for sales, let's continue to look for buys, because price just made a new higher high, right? And this is now where we become the buyer. So let's just go a few steps backwards just a little bit. I knew that I wanted price to stay above a particular candle, and I knew I wanted it to trigger me into the trade. And so as price started to move and I start to place my estimations on where I want price to go to so that I can enter the trade, it triggers me into my position, right? And now as it triggers me into my position, I'm already understanding where I want to take profit at. And this is what I shared on Instagram. And as I shared it on Instagram, and the price just starts to go up and then up. And this is where we are now. So it's almost to my first take profit at 1.597. It'll be a little bit higher. Let's go to the wick. And I like putting these exactly on my wick. So around 1.59790. That's my first take profit, right? And I actually had a trader who follows me on there inbox me and said that he took the same setup and he's actually been able to make his first withdrawal from following me on Instagram. And I thought that was really, really cool and really great. He's been listening, he's been taking notes, he was struggling, and now it's becoming so much clearer to him. This is what trading is about, and I love teaching and helping people see clearer. You know, we can look at all the patterns in the world here. We can put as many trend lines as we want here. But see, when things like this happen, the question is, how do you adjust that? How do you adjust to this? How do you move that trend line? Or how do you move that support and resistance? And how do you know when to stop being a support and resistance trader? Like, the more things you trade, the more decisions you have to make, and that can affect the way you make your money. So here, you know, by setting pending orders last week, for me, it helped me make money without me actually being on my price charts. Understanding that I wanted to buy Euro AUD because price was going up and then sell AUD USD because price was going down, it really helped me make money, and I was really excited about that. And you know, I'm still excited about that. So back to the original question, how do I make my money trading Forex? Basically, here's an example. I buy one currency pair and trade it against another to double my profits without me putting all of my money into one currency pair. You guys, when you just trade one currency pair, especially as a swing trader, it could take weeks for a really good setup to form. It could take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes even 2 to 3 months. So it's important that you don't just focus on one pair. Also remember, as a swing trader, how I'm making my money, I'm letting price ride. I'm letting it run. I can't fear this market. I can't fear every pullback. I can't fear every time price does something that in my mind I believe it should not do. I have to focus on the current buyers and the current sellers to give me my information. But I also understand I'm not trading this thing candle by candle by candle, because that is what day traders and scalpers do, and I don't have that mindset. I have the mindset that price moves in big movements, and ever since I've studied that, and I started to study it, and I still study it, and as I continue to grow and as I continue to learn, I pour that out into other people so that they can grow and they can learn and they can pour into other people as well. So that's how I make my money, you guys. Trading, swing trading. Now, as you guys can see, the technique is very simple, and I could tell you that it is this simple, and it is, believe it or not. And for the most people who want to teach this, they can't believe how simple it is too. I don't want to be the kind of person who teaches and makes it hard for other people. I've spent a while figuring out how to simplify Forex for a lot of people, and this is one of the ways that I can help simplify it. Teaching you one technique at a time, not overburdening you, not overbearing it, not adding too much, not adding too many indicators, not focusing on the indicators, but just focusing on price alone. I hope you guys took good notes, and if you did, then use these notes this week to take a few trades yourself. And if you need more help, if you say, Shaquan, I want to work with you, I believe you can help me get to where I am, and the fact that you can do it fast is a bonus. So if that's you, make sure you guys book a free call with me. And if you're on Instagram, I'll see you later on this week. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next video coming out later on this week as well. You guys be blessed.